Hey guys, it's Kay from Kay as Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode from our Halloween, scary, spooky, random Halloween type of things kind of week. I hope that you've been enjoying it so far. Today we are having an episode from r/non-murder mysteries. So basically they are mysteries that don't have to do with actual murders. Let's get started. Flashes in the window. Longest story coming and TLDR at the bottom. Happened 2 nights in a row when my pregnant wife and I were staying at my grandma's house over Thanksgiving a couple years ago. We were in bed and I was almost asleep. This is maybe 1 a.m. after playing board games with the other guys in my family, when from the outside of my closed eyelids I see a bright flash like a camera. I open my eyes and look around, but no one else is in the room and my wife is asleep. It was too bright and happened too fast to be a car or a truck driving by, and even still the road was maybe 100 feet from the window, parallel to the street. And I'm talking bright. If it was a car, it would have had to be its brights and right up to the window. I told my wife and the rest of the family about it the next morning, but no one else experienced anything similar and no one had any ideas of what it could have possibly been. The next night, I was creeped out, but had mostly forgotten about it. I was awake and looking at my phone, and this time my wife was awake, but eyes shut, trying to sleep, when around the same time, the same thing happened again. I remember it coming from the bottom left corner of the window, just outside. Something like a very bright camera flash, but much brighter than a phone camera. More like the flash on a large professional-grade camera. I jumped up and ran to the window to try to see anything, but to no avail. I couldn't get a good look at the spot just below the window. At least my wife experienced it too, so I knew I wasn't crazy, but her eyes were closed like mine were the night before. The next morning, I told my family again, and I went to look outside. Unfortunately, there was little snow, so I couldn't see any footprints, but I realized the window was about 7 or 8 feet off the ground. Whatever happened really freaked us out. Couldn't wait to get out of there, and left without staying another night. My grandparents no longer live in the house, but the only thing I can think of is maybe someone taking pictures and casing the house for a robbery. It was an area with some active crime. The weird thing is that one window was the only one where there was a bright flash. There were people in just about every room, and just about all of them had late-nighters that were awake at a similar time. There were also other rooms with more valuables and better vision, so if someone was casing the place, there were more obvious spots to check. Why our window, when the large window to the living room was 3 feet off the ground and would contain more valuables? Yeah, that's really weird. They answered some questions in the comments. One person asked if they were like near a traffic light or anything. Maybe it flashed to take pictures of like cars running the lights or something. They said they were nowhere near that, that there was no light near them, anything like that. People saying it's not likely anybody was casing it because it doesn't make sense for them to like come back the second time the same time. Yeah, that's creepy. And something that I don't have an explanation for either, and at least their wife saw it too, so like they know he's not crazy and he knows he's not crazy, but that's creepy. Francis Levy's handprint. On April 18th, 1924, at Engine Company number 107, a fire department in Chicago, it began like any other day. Except one firefighter, Francis Levy, was acting strange that day. He had an air of gloominess around him. He didn't greet his coworkers, smile, or even talk. He just busied himself with cleaning and maintenance around the firehouse. He then admitted to his fellow firefighters that he felt like he was going to die. At the time, some of them possibly poked fun at it because they thought it could not be true. After 7 p.m., while Levy was cleaning the windows, a call had come in. There was a fire at the Curran Hall. Like many of the other firefighters, Levy left to the fire that was only a few blocks away. Engine number 5 and engine number 103 were fighting the fire inside, while firefighters from truck 12 were working the ladders outside. The 4-story building showed some weird anomalies. Some witnesses said that the fires went downstairs like liquid flowing, and when it had gotten to the boxes on the stairwell, they exploded. Those fighting inside had to take turns running to the windows to breathe fresh air because, at the time, they had no breathing apparatuses. Unfortunately, for all those who fought the fire inside, 30 minutes in, the fire had damaged the structure of the building too far. First, the roof collapsed and then pushed out the outer walls of the structure, causing the whole building to collapse. Those within the building had been hurt or lost their life. Within 30 minutes, all rescue agencies in Chicago was called in. It was difficult to rescue those trapped beneath the building because when the building collapsed, it knocked out power lines, leaving the search and rescue in the dark. 20 firefighters were injured and 8 firefighters died that night. 1 firefighter died 8 days later. 1 civilian, William Bear, died while trying to help rescue trapped firefighters. Funerals for the fallen occurred on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, where 125 firefighters were officially detailed to honorary escorts for the services. For the first time in history, a civilian, William Bear, had 6 firefighters serve as honorary pallbearers. Truck 12 lost 6 of their firefighters, Engine 5 lost 2, and Engine 107 lost only 1, and that was Francis Levy. The fire itself was found out to be the cause of arson. The reason that the fire spread like liquid flowing was because wood alcohol was spread around the building and lit on fire. The one who started the fire was the owners of the sporting goods and novelty shop that resided on the 2nd floor. They were convicted of arson and murder. It's sad to think all these people were injured, killed, lost their coworkers and friends just because the owners wanted to get $32,000 from the insurance company. The next day, the other firefighters noticed the half-cleaned window that Levy was working on had a strange stain on it. In the middle of it was a handprint, and when they tried cleaning it, the handprint would not leave. They scrubbed, scraped with razors, and used different cleaning chemicals, but nothing would work on the window. They even hired people to clean it, but no one could remove the handprint. It had been suggested to replace the window, but some of them working there didn't want to. They believed that they shouldn't mess with the unknown. It was also left as a reminder or in memory of Levy and those who lost their lives that night. On April 18, 1944, exactly 20 years after Levy and his fellow firefighters lost their life, something happened. A paperboy carelessly threw a newspaper and it shattered the window, thus destroying the mysterious handprint that couldn't be removed. Now that's really sad that all of that happened, but it is weird that he felt like he was going to die that day. Some people speculated that it wasn't too strange about the handprint, that there's certain chemicals that could do that and might be found inside like a firehouse. But it is kind of weird that exactly 20 years later, that exact window would get broken just by a careless paperboy. Really interesting story. This one was filed under paranormal because the coincidences seem a little too strong for a lot of people. It's pretty interesting, kind of unnerving, I guess. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts on these 2 stories in the comments below. I especially want to know if you have any theories on what that light flash was. And real quick, I would like to thank my patrons. On the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy K's. Thank you so much for supporting me in that way, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye!